I knew 5 years ago, like, man, Twitch is gonna be nuts. And that's like when not many people, as many people knew about it. It was still people were like huge gamers that were there were still getting a lot of viewers, but not really almost nobody kind of knew what it was. The only one thing is it's still, of course, mainly for gaming, and that's where most of the people are. But that's also kind of a good thing because not the music scene's not as crowded on there. You know what I mean? So it's like if you're on there and you're dope, like whatever you got going on is actually something that's like if you can, project it to them in a high quality way and people click with it, then it's you can get, you can grow a nice community in there. So it's been dope, man. I've been having a great fucking time streaming.
So guys, I'm super excited today. We got SuperStar. Oh, this man is a living legend. I'm sure you guys all know who he is already.
Hey.
But I guess if there's some chance that somebody doesn't know, could you give them a quick backstory of who you are?
Yeah, so I'm Superstar O. I'm a music producer, songwriter. I also own like industry kits where we do the kit stuff online. We've been doing for a long time. Do a lot. I've been in a lot of music business for man over a decade now. Started in like 2008 or so on SoundClick. So you might recognize the name from SoundClick days, especially. That's how I first came up. Um, and yeah, just been in here, working in the industry, worked on all types of different stuff, and then online, offline, um, all about the music though. That's me.
Yeah, man. Perfect. We'll get deeper into all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I'll just
yeah,
say, I think probably, this is an audience of mainly producers. So they probably mostly know who you are. But I'll just say one thing to intro you is like, a lot of people probably know who you are, but if they haven't had the pleasure of like actually interacting with you, you are one of
right.
just the most genuine, just like good dudes. So that's
Oh,
my
thank you,
intro to
man.
you. Just a good dude.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Hell
man,
yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, man, let's get into a little bit of, some of the specifics as far as kind of your journey and just, so that some of the producers watching might get some ideas and stuff.
Yeah,
What was I know you said you kind of started off on SoundClick. What was
right.
that process like? And then how did you start, finally actually making some money?
So I started on SoundClick, so at first I was just making stuff on MySpace way back. This is like way back. Like we're talking about a lot of people that young beat makers probably don't even know. They're like, what the fuck? MySpace. You
Remember
know what I mean?
MySpace?
Some way back. So I was hustling
Yep.
way back on MySpace. I would just be putting the beats up, messaging hella people, like spamming them like I got beats, but this was before spam was a thing. Like nobody was doing that. So it was actually making money. And then from there, people were telling me like, yo, you ever heard of this thing called SoundClick? Like, I think you'd really be able to sell some beats on there. So I was like, okay. So I went over there. From there, I mean, really, as soon as I jumped on there, I started going up in the charts every now and then, and I would start getting some money from that. That's when I was able to first like move out of like the bad apartments that we were living in and get like our first like suburban type apartment. Just stacking up money for real. You know what I mean? Like having the sales. That was like back in the golden era of SoundClick. It was like the true times where like if you were a dope producer and you had the heat, then you would be in the top 10 because you'd get hella plays, hella downloads. Like, I mean, we were getting like 50 to 100,000 plays a day, like streams a day on just the beats. And they were real, like no bots, none of that shit. That shit wasn't even like a thing for real back then yet. It was just real people. The downloads would be like incredibly high. And I'm like, this is just off beats. And now it goes like when we look back, it's like, wow, like that was pretty special. Like for back then, man, SoundClick was really on to something crazy, but they let their self fall apart, and and that goes. The golden era of that is done. So from there, I had to like figure out, like I seen it coming that it was dying. I seen it coming. I was like, bro, it's not the same. Like they're not doing what they should be doing from a business aspect. You know what I mean? I'm looking into the future. Like this isn't going to last. You know what I mean? Like they're not making the moves for longevity. They're not ever, you have to always be innovating and always be doing some new shit, or else you're going to sit still for a while. Then you're going to start going down. And I seen like, it wasn't going up. It was kind of starting to teeter down. And that's when I started just thinking of new things to do. I was like, I can't rely, because if they go down, you know what I mean? And that's how I'm getting all my money, and I'm relying on them, then I'm fucked. You know what I mean? Like then I ain't got shit. If they just go, like if you're putting all your eggs into a basket that you're not even holding, it's up to somebody else to just throw that shit, and then everything's gone. So that's when I started being like, yeah, I got to think of some shit to do on my own and not rely on anybody else. But it was a good time though, and it definitely helped me build my name up a lot for sure in the beginning too. So I'll forever, be grateful to SoundClick, but I just wish they would have let some of the big dogs or something come in and, do something.
Yeah, no, I think with SoundClick, I didn't know too much of it. I kinda caught because with me, I was doing music back then, but I wasn't really doing the online stuff till, I caught, like, the very tail end of SoundClick, but I think
Yeah,
for them, they didn't build it with what it turned into in
true,
mind, and then they
true. It
never
wasn't.
evolved. They never, like, saw, "Oh my god, this is this huge opportunity we have." Instead of them being like, "Okay, great, let's build and grow on that," they were like, "Let's just try to, like, milk this for everything it's worth and just start charging," and without actually, like, building out the back end and actually making it better for the audience they actually had. Like, I heard they
Yeah,
used to, like, be mad that hip hop producers took over their
they
site.
did. They didn't like it.
They were
Yeah,
just
they
like,
didn't like it.
"Man, you're missing out on the opportunities that are actually
Exactly.
in front of you." And then the other thing I wanna point out there too, which is so important, is I feel like whether if it's SoundClick or Instagram or YouTube or wherever, like, those platforms can all be extremely powerful because your
Oh
audience
yeah.
might be there right now,
Right.
but as soon as they change the rules or that social media platform evolves or they shut your account down or all that stuff happens all the time, and really on a long enough timeline, they all, evolve or change
Yep.
or disappear, and so it's so
Got to.
important, like, that traffic that you get on there, you don't own that traffic. You're borrowing that traffic from Mark Zuckerberg, or if it's
Yep.
Twitch, that's, Jeff Bezos owns that, or if it's
Yep.
YouTube, that's, Larry and Sergey, the dudes who own you. That's not your traffic, but
Exactly.
your traffic is like the people on your email list going to your site, your funnel, whatever, like the stuff that you
Something
actually
you can control. Yeah. Exactly.
own. Big key right
Yep.
there for sure. So then from there, from SoundClick, what was the next move? What was kind of the evolution from there?
Um, so the first thing I did was I was like, okay, so I'm getting a lot of traffic. People are coming through here. They're buying beats from my SoundClick. So I need to find a way to, and it's still going, but I seen that it was gonna slow down and end up probably stopping, or just I didn't know where it was going, but I had a bad feeling it wasn't gonna be good, years down the line. So I made my own website and I started funneling them through that. Like, when they would come there, they would see my SoundClick, but it would have, promotion everywhere, letting them know, like, hey, come to my official website. There's even beats here that aren't here that I don't post here. Like I would do stuff to make them go there and not go there no more. So slowly I converted them over to my own website, but like I said, by letting them know and sending out the mailing list, I'd have like a big banner when they would come to my SoundClick, letting them know, like I said, like, hey, new beats, there might be 20 new beats here, but there's 50 new beats on my official website. So go to my official website. Anything I could do to let them know, like, go here now. Don't really focus here. I'm still here, but focus over there. So that's what I did at first. And that's really the main thing I did. And then I just kept growing from there. And then I seen like, okay, well, I want to expand. People kept asking me like, yo, where do you get your sounds? Like, how do you mix your drums? All that type of shit. So I was like, you know what? Maybe if I put out like little packs every now and then, maybe, of it, maybe I could sell those. And there wasn't too many people doing that. There was people obviously selling virtual instruments, and you had native instruments. You had a bunch of like huge companies doing that type of stuff, but not as many people were like selling like a sample loop pack or like an 808 pack or something like that as much. So that's when I tapped into that, and I seen like, whoa, like people really really fuck with this, and like as long as you give them that quality, you know what I mean, and you stay on it, then that'll do good. So then I was like, okay, well, there's another thing I can do. And I just kept going, like whatever I can. Still to this day now, and now this year I start Twitch. Like I've always wanted to live stream on Twitch. I've been watching Twitch for like 5-6 years, and I love it. It's always on. So, but I've always told myself, like, man, I think I'd do really good on there. And I had the beat battles and all this stuff in mind, and nobody's really doing it. And I'm like, well, it would be kind of cool. But I was like, I do a lot of stuff and balance a lot of stuff already. So I was like, well, I'll just wait. If it's meant to be, the right time will come. Then here comes this COVID shit. Now I can't travel back to LA and stuff, and I'm just at the house in Ohio. So I'm like, well, here's some perfect time. And then that's when I dove in with this. And like, you got to know how to see those opportunities that are in front of you. You know what I mean? Like you got to know if it's the right time and you can feel it, then just try that out. So every year I try to think of like a new business idea or a new way that I could grow this business, or maybe a new thing I could offer, whatever, anything. Like that's really, I feel like is a main key to being an entrepreneur, is like, you got to realize, like, a lot of people feel like, oh, they say like, oh, I can't wait till I make it. Like all I want to do is get this and get that, and I'm gonna make it. But you got to realize that that's only like that ain't even half the journey. Like once you get there and you get what you want, you got to keep going hard and keep innovating to keep that and to keep growing. You can't just sit there like, okay, this is where I'm at now. Like, you got to be able to be innovative, keep on thinking of new ideas, keep wanting to grow, whatever it is. Like even if you got like somebody who had like a car shop, that customized cars, like they're only after a while, you're going to have to innovate to keep that name going and to keep that, to maybe expand or whatever. Like you just have to keep on going. That's only half the journey really is getting there. So even to this day, I'm just always thinking of new things that I could do, which
Definitely.
like you, I'm sure you are too. You're always just thinking of new ideas on like how I can grow, what I could give the people, what would they like, maybe if I put a twist on this, I wonder what that would do. Just trying new things all the time.
Yeah, and to me, that's part of the fun of this whole game anyways,
Oh,
is
for
seeing
sure.
what is the
Right.
next opportunity, what is the like, "Oh, damn, like, I started diving into this thing, and now all of a sudden I have this entirely different skill set I never even thought about, but now, okay, cool, now I know this thing, and I've got this audience, cool, how can I" or this new platform is emerging or whatever. That
Right.
to me, that's part of the fun. It's like it's exactly what SoundClick didn't do, right? They just tried to, like, stick with the same thing, so no,
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's huge.
Yep.
I'm glad you brought up Twitch because I definitely wanted to talk about that. I think that's
Oh,
something that
yeah.
it's really interesting because it's like, I was like sort of aware of it as like
Yeah.
more of a gaming type of thing. And
Right.
then it seems like now more recently, with you being on there and I'm seeing, Illmind and a couple other producers starting to do it. It's pretty cool. And I'm just kind of like checking it out, but I'm sure a lot of producers are kind of wondering a little bit about how that works. So for you, I know you used to or you are a gamer, right? So is that kinda how you
Yeah.
first came across Twitch in the first place?
Yeah, yeah. I first learned of it from well, honestly, I first learned of it because I came across the streamer Dr. Disrespect. And like he just grew my like instantly. I was like, yo, this dude is dope. Like, what the fuck is going on? So and then I found out like that's where he was. I think I came across a YouTube video of him and he was on Twitch. So then I went to Twitch and was like, what is this? And like then it just opened up the world of like, damn, like this is cool. Cause like even I've always been a gamer, but like as I'm, especially with the business stuff, I might not allocate as much time to it. So it was cool to be able to do my work, do the music stuff, be in the studio, and then maybe like on the second monitor, Twitch is on and somebody's playing a game that I like to play or that I'm thinking of playing, and I can just look over, watch them. And if there's somebody with like a good personality or something you like about them that gravitates, you to them, it's just cool to have them on like in the background or to just be kicking it. But over the years, like I just kept thinking, like, man, this is gonna grow crazy. I knew 5 years ago, like, man, Twitch is gonna be nuts. And that's like when not as many people knew about it. It was still people were like huge gamers that were there were still getting a lot of viewers, but not really almost nobody kind of knew what it was. Even gamers for real was still growing. But I knew and I was like, man, I should probably jump in there. You know what I mean? Like, cause this I could do a whole different thing that nobody's doing. Like, yeah, it's for gaming, but like what if you I think this is going to go to anything, which that's where it's at now. Like there's people that are on there singing live instrumentation. You got people like me, Illmind, Cash Money AP, Timbaland, like people in the studio cooking up, bringing like Kenny Beats, bringing people in the studio while they're cooking up. Like people that are painting and doing art. Like I got homies that one of my homies, Liz Vega, she just sits there and plays the harp and sings to the people. Like it's just you could do anything. You know what I mean? And it's really just like about just growing the audience there though. That's the only one thing. It's still, of course, mainly for gaming. And that's where most of the people are. But that's also kind of a good thing because not the music scene's not as crowded on there. You know what I mean? So it's like if you're on there and you're dope, like whatever you got going on is actually something that's like, or even any of the other categories, whatever you're doing, if you can, project it to them in a high quality way and people click with it, then you can get, you can grow a nice community in there. So it's been dope, man. I've been having a great fucking time streaming.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I've been, hopping on a couple of your streams and kinda checking out
Oh
what's
yeah, I seen
going
you
on.
popping in. Yes,
It's a good
sir.
time.
Thank you for that.
So I'm wondering, like, okay, so you mentioned, like, getting attention on there, and I know it
Yeah,
sounds like it's still, mostly gamers on there, so
yeah,
I'm guessing if somebody's starting, that might not be where they'd find their audience, right? I'm guessing
right,
a lot of
right.
your audience you brought over from.
Exactly. You're trying to convert them to that. Yeah,
Got
exactly.
it. So
Yep.
maybe that would be something to keep in mind if you're a producer, you're trying to
Yeah,
do this, like, you're probably gonna have to
exactly.
bring in your traffic from these other platforms where they're
Yep.
hanging out, and then kinda
Exactly. Yeah, if you ever do wanna get into streaming or anything like that, it's or any other like, say you don't have a YouTube, but you got an Instagram, like wherever your following is and you're trying to get into something else, you should focus on funneling your traffic and your audience from one place to the other while you're obviously still gonna also gain new people from that wherever you're at too, but that's the main key. And with Twitch, it is a little hard because especially in the producer scene, not as many people know yet still all the way, or they don't even most people in the music scene don't even know yet, but people are starting to know a little bit. And even when they do hear and they're like, oh, I've heard of it, they might not still have came yet. You know what I mean? So, you might have Timbaland, you would think there'd be like fucking 50, like 10, 20, 30,000 people watching them, but it's like it doesn't convert as much. So it's like, but it is growing, you know what I mean? So, and the good thing I like about it is like our community, I might only have like 100 and something, 200 something people watching, but that's where I've noticed like you funnel like your most hardcore supporters will come through there, and then that brings in more, and then that brings in more, and then it doesn't really matter the numbers. Like, don't focus on the numbers, just focus on like just having a good time and delivering what it is you're trying to deliver. You know what I mean? Like everything's gonna grow as it grows. Even like with an Instagram page, like say you have an idea where you're like, okay, I want to start this nature Instagram page that projects a meaning to me, which is like how much I love trees and how much I'm trying to save the trees and stuff. And I want to get that across to people, and I want to make it in a professional manner. Like, okay, well then do that. Don't focus on like how many followers am I getting? Like all that shit's just gonna come. As long as you're, like delivering the high quality, product, pictures, whatever videos that you're wanting to put on there and give to people, like people are gonna see that and come in. And then of course do your homework on like how can I get them here, so on and so forth. But don't stress on like, if you stress a lot of that's, I talk to a lot of people and they stress so much on like, oh, I wanted to do Twitch. Like a lot of people tell me they wanted to do Twitch, but they would only have 5 or 10 people watching, and it was like it wasn't worth it, so I didn't. I'm like, bro, you don't realize though, like I don't know if you know this, but most people who started on Twitch, they only had 5 or 10 people watching in the beginning. And then some time went on and then they had 50 people. Then maybe some time went on and they had 100. And then you look at back some and maybe it's a lot of, a year or two went by. Now they got thousands of people watching. Like that's just how it is. And same with Instagram. You're going to start with 0, 0, 0. Over the time, it's going to grow. Like you can't only focus on that. You know what I mean? Though at the same time.
Definitely. No, I think it's one of those things where it's like, you create the content, you want a strategy,
Right.
but the other side of it too is like when you first get on any new platform, especially if it's a different kind of medium, like, live streaming it's a different thing than posting pictures or videos or whatever.
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
probably not going to be that great at it at first anyway. So it's probably good that you don't have 20,000 people on your first stream, you know?
Exactly.
So you'll grow with it and you'll figure out, I think, probably what works for you and what your audience, more importantly, what your audience actually likes and what keeps them,
Yeah.
excited and interested. So maybe can you like talk a little bit about that as far as how do you keep it interesting, or like what kind of stuff do you do on the stream that a producer might get some ideas from, the stuff that they could do on there?
Yeah. So for me, when I first came into it, it's been 4 months now. We just hit like our 4 month. I've been streaming for 4 months. So in the beginning, though, 4 months ago, I was thinking like, okay, I know I want to live stream, and of course, I know I could cook up live. Like, of course, I'm gonna make beats live. Like, of course, that'll be dope. People can see your screen. I can, you can talk while you're doing it, and that'd be cool. But then I'm thinking too, like for me, I'm thinking like I'm trying to go as high as I can as far as like what else could I bring though? You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, that's why now, we got the beat battles, which is really big, especially in these times where people can't kind of come together as much. Like it's all virtual. You could be anywhere in the world and people can battle. And I'm giving them prizes. I'm giving cash prizes. I'm buying equipment. I'm doing a whole lot of stuff. And on top of that, some nights maybe we just do music critiques where people let me send stuff or they send stuff in and I listen to it. The chat gets to vote if they like it or not. Maybe some nights I do cookups and then I take little breaks. So like they're watching me make a beat, and then I take a little break and then I let them send me stuff, and then I listen to it and then I go back to making that beat, and I'm like, okay, let's take a break. Send me some stuff. So it's really anything, like, and it's limitless. Like you could literally do anything you can think of. You know what I mean? It's just on think of new ideas that, and that same thing with, even besides Twitch, if it was Instagram or something, like the content you can put on there is limitless. Like, of course, it's got to be a video or a picture, but I'm saying like the contents of that, you could come up with a new way of doing something in a flash that nobody's really thought of doing. You know what I mean? It's just about, and that's a big key of it, because even with what all I'm doing now, it's enough to where I can, it's not stagnant where like Monday through Friday, I'm coming on here and you're watching me make a beat. Like that'd be cool, people would still like that. But I feel like what's really helped the community is like it's like a show. Like we're in there lit. We're like in a nightclub on those beat battle nights, and we're fucking lit. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking fun, and everybody gets to send their own stuff. And like I'm really going in with the emotes, and certain supporters of our community have their own emotes. Like you people who like are in there a lot and they're giving a lot of love, they have their own emotes dedicated to them and stuff. So it's like you just got to think outside. Like don't, like you can look at what others are doing too, but then think of new things. Like even like me and Illmind, like I've looked at him and I've been like, okay, that's really smart what he's doing there. And he's done the same, with me. And like and people we're in the same thing. Like, that's another thing is just taking stuff from each other and giving, like learning from somebody, they learn from you, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's limitless. You could do anything for real.
As far as on those things, have you noticed, like, people really go crazy for, you making beats, for you talking to
Yeah.
people, for you, the beat battles? Like, are there
Yeah.
certain things that you're seeing are, like, really working and people show up for, or
Yeah, I would say, so from the chat, from that's what you call the chat, everybody that's in there talking when you're live, they usually say like, "Oh, I love when he cooks up," which would be, something where of course they do, but everybody has their different stuff. But as far as if we're going by numbers, definitely the most people come when I'm like, it's a big beat battle night. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're doing a battle and we're about to turn up. You know what I mean? And it's because the way I do my battles too is different. Like I haven't seen anybody really like it's really like a battle, with brackets and like it's like a show. You're like watching like a show for real. And we're only just getting started. Like I got live scenes that are being made where it's gonna be like we're in arenas and we're in like VIP sections. And it's like I'm making this like a whole show. And that's like what you can do. You can evolve and do anything you want. You can do something completely different. But yeah, they definitely love the beat battles and of course the music critiques because everybody wants to know like do other people like my beats? Do other people like my songs? So artists come through all the time, producers come through, even like photographers or graphic artists. I've met some dope new graphic artists, all types of people. They just want to, send something in and see if people, everybody wants to get a little feedback. So people love when we do that too.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
yeah, but now I have something coming up where I'm about to do a $1,000 beat battle on there, and that's gonna be crazy. Like that's gonna be the most people we've had for sure. I don't know. I'm gonna make like a video and like sponsor it and put it on Instagram everywhere for about a week, and we're gonna see what's up. But that's definitely gonna be where the channel's gonna take a leap in growth. And then from there, I'm gonna keep doing absolutely crazy shit. Like whatever I'm making from Twitch, I'm either putting it right back in, giving it back to the community, or putting it into the equipment, making it better in the studio. So yeah, I got some super crazy shit planned. Like another thing that I've done is like I said, it's all about just thinking outside the box. So even now, from now on, I made a thing where like anybody that's subscribed to my Twitch, because a lot of them are producers, right? And a lot of them get gifted subs, which means like you came in and gave like 5 gifted subs or whatnot. So that just gave the subs to 5 random people. But what they that follow us. But what they don't know, well, a lot of them don't know is like those people might just be people that came and followed and they don't even know yet or what's going on. And those gifted subs, they expire after 30 days. Like they don't keep going as when you subscribe on your own. So they have to go in there and hit continue. And so I made an incentive for them to do that, which is like now every single month at the end of the month, I send every single sub an email and it gives them like a free producer pack full of stuff that's not for sale nowhere. And it'll never be given to nobody else. Every single month they get that. And the top 50 donation or top 10 donations of the month, top 20 people that gave the most gifted subs, and top 20 people that gave the most cheers, which is like the virtual currency, they get another exclusive pack that only those 50 people get ever. It'll never be for sale or nothing. So it's just thinking of things that at the same time is giving back to the community and making it the best that you can for them. But it's also obviously good for the channel too. You know what I mean? It makes people stick around and it makes it more worth it.
Yeah, smart. No, I like all that. That's dope. So you mentioned, kind of reinvesting all the money that's coming in back into the community. I'm sure you're putting it into the beat battle prizes, all that kind of stuff, making the everything better. And you started
Yeah.
to touch on a little bit, but I'm curious about kind of the business model, like that money that is coming in that you are reinvesting. Like, what are the different places that comes in from as far as Twitch goes?
So yeah, so for as far as Twitch goes, so you get like $4.99 when somebody subscribes. But Twitch takes half of that. So you really get 250 or 249 and they get 24 whatever. So they take half of all your subs. But when people throw bits, which is like their virtual currency, people can buy like a bunch of bits and when they throw them out, like it converts into money. I think they take less. They take like 30 or 35 or something percent. They don't take half. You get more from bits. And then if somebody donates to you, it goes right to your PayPal because it's just a PayPal button in your bio. They don't get any of that. So if somebody's like, here's $50 donation or something, it just goes to your PayPal instantly. So, every month you just get that payment. The main thing though is like they are taking half of the subs, but and a percent of the bits, but it still is like it's their platform, you know what I mean? So and it's not just you, it's everybody. That's the deal, you know what I mean? So there's some platforms that are live streaming where they take like 60, 70, they want more than 50. So it's actually pretty fair when you look at the streaming market or whatever. But that's where it can come from. You got the subs, you got the bits, and you got donations. And then if you grow to like a crazy level, depending on what you're doing, like gamers, they're getting paid to play certain games, to review certain games, like sponsored ads. Like they're giving them, hey, we'll give you $2,000 tonight to play this game in front of your 2,000 something viewers. And hey, people that get like 20 plus 15, 10,000 viewers, they're giving them a lot more, obviously, so, and that's going to just keep growing. Like, who knows, get to a point where in different markets, people are doing that in all the categories. So, because live streaming is just only blowing up more and more and more, especially that we're growing into this, like, who knows where this shit is going, you know what I mean? With this all this that's going on. So the live stream is just even blowing up even more than it was before.
Yeah, man. No, it's exciting. It's cool. It's like a new, a whole new platform and a little
Whole
bit
new
of a
market, whole new
different medium
platform.
too.
Yep. And I like it. Another reason I like it a lot is like it shows like you more. Like the people can see and know you more personally. You know what I mean? Like, of course, you can post a lot on Instagram and on your story and do all that, but people don't really get to know you until like we're sitting here kicking it like this for like 5-8 hours. Like, me, you know what I'm saying? Like, we in here, so it lets them. And then so your fans just become even more fans, you know what I mean? And your supporters just want to support even more. And then like also it's good for content. So if you're you can take little clips and put them on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. So it's like it's good for content. It's good for everything, like all around. Live streaming is just it's the wave right now for sure. And
Yeah,
it's
no,
only gonna be
that
it's
makes
only growing.
sense. You're doing that super long form, like you said,
Yep.
you're doing a few hours at a time. I'm sure there's
Yep.
a lot of, cool little moments in there that are
All
great to be
types of shit.
repurposed.
Yep. All types of little clips you can take and make content and videos from it.
Yeah,
And
man.
at the same time, like I said, it's just growing this community.
Yep, yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So then I know you mentioned like industry kits. What is
Yeah.
that still something that you're, focused on? You're still
Yeah.
actively doing that?
Yeah, that's like besides, I mean, that's my main focus. And the main
Okay.
focus is my industry kits, industry placements, like as far as working stuff in the industry, like beats wise and Twitch. Those are my three main focuses right now. Well, that are not like business, just like in the social world. Those are my three main focuses.
Okay. Okay. What
Yeah.
about in business? Or what do you mean?
That's I don't really
That
talk
top
too much.
secret?
Yeah. Not, it's just a whole nother worlds, other worlds of stuff that hasn't, just investments or other people's ideas that I've over the years invested in. Like if you got a friend and they're like, yo, I got this good idea, and you're like, yeah, that could work. Here's this, that type of shit. Like,
Gotcha. It's
well,
not
yeah.
even necessarily related
No,
to
not connected in any kind of way to anything. It could be a damn pizza shop, and one could be a damn, whatever. Just
Gotcha.
stuff like that.
Got you. Yeah, no, I really like how you have industry kits, set up. You got some real creative stuff on there. I noticed you have like you sort of like gamified it where like they get reward points for certain
Yep.
things. And,
Yep.
I saw you have your subscription on there. It's a lot of the ways. One thing I just want to mention is like, it's that creativity, like everything you were talking about on Twitch, it's being creative. It's like, okay, here's this platform, here's the stuff that exists, here's like the parameters to play within. Now, how
Yep.
can I make that fun and exciting, something where I can express myself creatively and make it
Exactly.
fun for the audience, for the fans, for the customers. I feel like you're really good at doing that on whatever platform you're on, whether it's Twitch or
Yeah.
your
Thank you.
site where you're selling the kits and stuff. So
Thank you.
how do you tend to come up with that stuff, or maybe even just specifically like that gamification thing with the reward points? Haven't seen
Yeah.
that too much. Where did that come from?
Honestly, it just comes like some things will just come to me and literally like it sounds crazy and it might sound like it literally sounds kind of crazy, but literally sometimes I'll just be chilling, especially like in the bathtub or the shower. And like, I won't even like, maybe something's on my mind. Like I need to I want to figure this out or something I can do, but it might not even be in my mind at the moment. And it's just like, it just get beams into my head like out of nowhere sometimes. And that shit feels crazy. But most of the time, a lot of the times too, I look around at like other things. Like I might, and maybe not even on purpose. Like I just see things, like, how in the business, if you got a business mind and stuff, you'll see what some companies are doing, even though maybe even the consumer is not seeing it or something like that. So sometimes I'll see stuff like that, or sometimes even I'll be, on Instagram and see an advertisement for like a clothing brand or something that's not even connected. And maybe they have like, so for instance, like I'll take an idea they have and be like, wait, I could wiggle that into, I could do something like that in this field. You know what I mean? So like even my whole, like you said, on industry kits, my VIP monthly subscription, where you can be the VIP producer It gives you any 2 products from the site that you want. So right there, you could get, way more than what you're paying, plus all this extra stuff. But I came up with that from seeing Loot Crate. I signed up for Loot Crate like 6 years ago. And I'm a nerd. So there's a bunch of nerd stuff in a box every month. And I was like, well, this is dope. And I was like, one day I was like, wait a minute. Like, I could do this, you know, for producers though, and it's even better because it's digital and I don't got to ship them nothing. And I was like, oh shit. And that's when I started that. And then now with Twitch, we took it to the next level to where if you're a tier 3 sub on my Twitch, you get a free VIP membership. So because the membership is 19 a month, but a tier 3 sub is 25. So it's like you would be, instead of like trying to subscribe to my Twitch and have the VIP, you can just have the Twitch. And as long as you're that tier 3 Twitch, then you're good. So it's always just about funneling it, and growing and coming up with new ideas or whatnot. But really,
Yeah.
either they get beamed in my head out of nowhere, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? Or I see it like something, and I apply it to mine. And like one time, I was up kicking it with one of my friends, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm doing this rap. He's in a whole different. He's in business. He didn't have nothing to do with music, but he was like, he's in business. He's always coming up with new ideas. And he was like, I'm gonna do this raffle, where you see people do these raffles online sometimes. And it was like, people got to buy this many tickets. There's only this many going to be sold, and somebody's going to win a truck or whatever. And I was like, oh, damn, that's what's up. He was like, yeah, I did it already, and it made a lot of money. And I was like, that's what's up. So then I thought of that, and I was like, well, I might be able to do something along those lines in my field. You know what I mean? It's just all about just thinking, just looking, thinking a new thing, and trial and error. Cause sometimes you try some stuff and it doesn't really do what you think, but you'll learn from it. You'll learn like this worked, that worked. Maybe if I tweak this, maybe I could take this part of the pie and put it over here. You know what I mean? It's just thinking of new stuff, trying it out, and not being afraid. Like just jump, just take the leap. If it works, it works. If it don't, you learn something,
Yeah.
and just keep growing.
Man, so many gems there. I think, yeah, a huge one right there is just that idea of, hey, if you see something that works, in another industry,
Right.
try it with your music. Like that's for me, that's been huge. Like a lot of the stuff that I do, it's literally that. It's that, oh, I saw people doing it in another industry, and now I just do
Right.
it over here, and maybe it looks like, oh wow, it's some new thing. It's like it's not really new.
Yep.
I didn't really do anything
Yeah.
that special. I just
Yep.
applied it over here. People aren't really doing it over here in the music.
Nobody's exactly.
That's
Yeah.
huge. And then this I liked how you wrapped that up too, is like, just launching stuff and not being
Yep.
afraid to fail, because that's the only way you find
Oh
out.
yeah, you're gonna fail. Like don't ever think you're not gonna fail. You're gonna fail. Like 100%. Like you're not gonna win every single thing that you try to do, and every idea is just gonna go knocking out the park. Like you might get on a streak, but yeah, one of the times every now and then, like you're gonna fail, especially if it's something new you're trying to do. Like like anything, you're trying to jump into something new. Like that's the whole part of it. Like failure is, you shouldn't be afraid of failure. Failure is what makes you grow. You know what I mean? Like you got to get back up, dust your shoulders off, and try again. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna fail though. This is how like boxers. Like a boxer doesn't just say, what, I want to box, and then they go get their trainer, they go in the ring, and they're just fucking knocking everybody out instantly. Like no, they gotta fight. They gotta get some fucking swollen lips. They gotta get knocked out a few times. They gotta train for years. Then they are a highly trained, ready to knock your ass fuck out boxer. You know what I mean? Like they've taken some L's, they've taken some L's, they've lost, they've made a win, they lost again, they lost 10 times in a row, but then they won 5. Like that's how you get that experience. Like don't be afraid to fail, because you're gonna fail for sure.
I love
But
that. No, you have to get punched in the face.
exactly, yeah. You're gonna get knocked the fuck out. That's fine. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to get knocked out. Don't be afraid to take a L every now and then. But you're gonna learn from that failure as long as you get back up and keep going. And
Yeah.
that's what it can be scary though. Like some people, that's why I said the other night on Twitch too. Is like, so like people look at people that have like these ideas, and if you look at, it's not just like some people have great ideas or dreams. Let's just go with dreams, right? And they don't go. Some people don't jump. They're scared to jump because it can be scary. Like, okay, like that, I gotta, I would have to dedicate all this time. Who says I'll even be able to do this? Like, this isn't guaranteed, as to where if I go over here and just get my job and just, I know that that's guaranteed and that's my routine and that's fine. You know what I mean? But so some people don't even take the leap. But even for people that take that leap, a lot of people will take that leap. They're skydiving, but then maybe the glider like busts, one of the wings kind of gets scraped up, and then they're kind of spiraling. And then maybe like a bird flies into them, and they start bleeding, and they're like thinking they're gonna die. Then they pull the parachute and they land, and they're like, I am never fucking jumping back off that. I'm not doing that no more. You know what I mean? Like I'm bad. I tried, I failed. I'm done, but that's not how it's not how it's going to work. Like, you got to go right back up there, get you a better glider. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, you learn from that, learn from what you did, and you got to keep jumping. You have to keep jumping. If you try and you fail, don't let that make you be like, I'm not trying again. Cause that's what makes the difference between what people call successful people and people that didn't chase their dream or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, anybody can do it, but you got to like not be afraid to fail. And no matter what, you can't quit. You got to just keep going. You can never quit.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, that's the biggest thing I see between the difference between people who, quote unquote "make it," which is a whole 'nother conversation, and people who don't. People who are, pursuing their dreams, it's like,
Yeah.
they just stick with it long enough to get good at it a lot of times. Like a
Yep.
lot of times
Exactly.
that's literally what it comes down to is just
It
having
is.
that mindset where you're not, you get punched in the face the first time, you get back up, you jump out the plane, and you get a bird in the face or whatever, you just
You're right.
do it again, and do it
Exactly.
again, and
Yep.
really for me, the big change happened for me when I realized that and I started enjoying that process. Was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
basically the rest
Exactly.
of my life, I'm gonna be jumping out that plane. So let
Yep.
me let me learn to enjoy this process." And once you enjoy the process and you stop thinking about, "Oh, as soon as I get to there, I'm gonna be happy, or as soon as I'm there, then I'll be on," like, no, it's never. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be,
Yep.
Jeff Bezos or whoever, it doesn't matter. Like, he's still trying to figure out what's the next thing, what's the
Right. What's exactly? And it's never. It's never. If you ever get to the point where you're not trying to figure out that next thing, that's where life becomes not really life. You're like you become stagnant. You know what I mean? Like, you should always, no matter how big you grow in whatever field you're in, always be looking for something next to get into. Like, you look, there's billions upon billionaires where they're like, okay, this was cool, but they're in love with the journey. Like, you got to be in love with the journey. Like you're saying, like, you got to, okay, so what's next? Like, now I want to get into, maybe it's a whole new field, or maybe now I want to just, I'm passionate about, let me, like, you got to always, life is about that experience. You know what I mean? Like, and like you said, you got to fall in love with the journey of the experience. Like, also, of course, it's going to feel good. Like, you set a goal, like, okay, I want this to happen within this next year or 6 months or whatever the goal is. And then, you get that goal and you're like, damn, that's what's up. Like, I did that. It's going to feel great. But you also got to learn to make sure that the journey that gets you there also make that feel great. Like enjoy that, like you're saying. Like, cause if you don't, then you're not gonna keep it up for too long. You know what I mean? If you're just like, damn, I hate having to sit here and make these beats all day and all night so I can get a placement. Then I get a placement and I'm like, yeah. Then I got to go back to making these fucking beats all night. Like, what? If that's your attitude, you ain't going to last very long. And that's how it is in any business and anything you're trying to do. Like, you got to love the process. Like, just it makes that's another thing that ties into what I tell people is make sure whatever you're trying to do, you're trying to do it because you love doing it, or it's something you'd really like to see yourself doing as a job. But if you're trying to chase something just for the money or just for this or just for the clout or whatever, you are not going to be happy no matter what happens. Even if you become the biggest rapper or producer or whatever it is, if that ain't what you really love doing, you're not going to be happy. You know what I mean? No matter what.
No, and you're probably not gonna make it anyways because you're not gonna stick with it long
Exactly.
enough to get
Your
you
heart's not
have to
into it.
do this
So,
stuff for so long to get good
yep.
at it, if it's making beats or being an entrepreneur, but, building your business, like, to get good
Right.
at it, you have to do it for so long. If you don't enjoy the
Yep.
process, I just feel like
Yep.
you don't really have a chance of making it anyways, you
Yep,
know?
true. That's true. That's
And
true.
something too you said earlier is like, there's sort of like that old model of thinking, well, the safe thing is I'll kinda get this job or whatever, and, that the scary thing is, like, building my own thing, but, it's
Yeah,
interesting with, like, COVID hitting and stuff where all of a sudden I feel like that's changed pretty quickly where now all those people who, had those jobs, a lot of them, that went away overnight, whereas people like you and I, or I'll speak for myself, like, to me, I don't wanna say my life hasn't changed, like, it has, but I have my own thing, like, I still know how I'm paying my rent next month, it hasn't changed from that, I have
exactly.
my own brand, so, yes,
Yep,
it's sort of, like, scarier taking that leap out, but now I don't even know if that's okay to say that it's safer to get
true,
the job, like, I almost feel like
true.
I feel safer knowing that my future's in my own hands and
In
not
your hands, you control it. Exactly. True. Yeah. Like, the security isn't exactly because anything can happen, even when these times go away, that's supposed to say you work for some big corporation all your life, you know what I mean? And now say whatever old you are. Say you got out of school, you got this job you wanted, you're working for this big corporation, you're making, good money, you got a nice position, you've been there for however many years. Let's say now you're, I don't know, like let's say you're 37 or 42, I don't know, whatever age, and that corporation decides to like, hey man, we're closing shop. It's over. It's a wrap. And then they're not moving your job nowhere, nothing. I feel like my advice would to anybody in the world would be, even if you do want to go, because like some people, that's what their dream is. Some people do just want to they just want to, be a nurse, or they want to, whatever, things where they're working for a thing. I would say though, whatever it is you want to do, I would say everybody should have some type of side hustle. Everybody. Like, even if it's just like, hey, I work this, but I also fucking I bake cookies every week and I sell them around the neighborhood. Everybody in the neighborhood knows I got the best cookies in the town, and I sell out every weekend. I'm selling out cookies, and there you go. Something that you could, a little net, just a little something, because that's even good just for the brain, because then from there, when you do that, you're going to want to keep going. Like, you're going to want to be like, wow, like what else could I do? And then you're going to keep adding things to it. And then you'll probably get to a point where you're like, fuck this job. Like, I could just do all this stuff that, you know what I mean? Or even if you don't, because you really like your job, you'll still have that net to where if one day that corporation closes, one day something crazy happens to where you can't work no more there, you're still got this going on where you could just say, okay, well, I'll just allocate all my time here and I'll be fine. You know what I mean? That's what some of my friends have done recently, where they worked and they were kind of doing some stuff in music or in business or whatever. And then they've just recently lost their jobs, some of them, like you said, but now they're okay because they're like, you know what? Damn, I just put 100% time right here now. And they're like, I'm even better than before. Like, you know what I mean? And then the ones that aren't like that, they're still like, well, at least I got this, you know what I mean? So I got something. They're not just flat out. So I would recommend everybody have some type of side hustle. Like, I know a girl that goes to like Marshalls and places like that, buys things and then sells them for a little bit more online somewhere, and people buy it and she just makes that profit. Like anything, some type of little hustle. Everybody should have something that they're doing
Yeah.
besides just relying only on their job.
Yeah, no, it like you said, it keeps your brain fresh because you have to
Yep.
think of new stuff, and also, like, kinda like we were talking about earlier, I feel like it might take you down all kinds of different roads, like, yeah, maybe you're
Exactly.
baking cookies or you're flipping
Yep.
stuff you bought at the store, like, whatever it is, that might turn into, "Oh, and from there I realized, I learned how to grow a Twitch channel, or I learned
Yep.
how to have a e-commerce site, or I learned" whatever the skills are, and then that could take you in a whole now maybe you build e-commerce sites for other people. Like, who knows? You don't know until you start doing that stuff. Like, there's no way I would have thought I'd be doing almost any of the stuff I'm doing today a few years ago, no clue.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have even been on my radar, but, as
Right.
as you start trying different things, you kinda see those opportunities come. I'm curious too, you mentioned, like, side hustles and doing different things.
Yeah.
What's something like, oh, let me frame it this way. If you weren't a music producer today, what might you guess you might be doing? I know it's like a weird question, but, like,
I know
or what
exactly
what
what
are
I'd be
some other things that you maybe are doing?
I know exactly what I'd be doing.
Oh, okay.
I'd be a porn star. I'm just playing. Uh I just fucked up the whole podcast. We gotta have something funny in this shit. You know what I'm saying? No, I mean, so you're saying if they're that even now, I mean, I don't really like, even now I'm trying to find side hustle. So even right now, I just started doing the Twitch stuff. That's doing way crazier than I thought it would be doing after a few months. But even now, on another aspect, I'm looking at opening up my own CBD company. I've already got the name. I got stuff going for that. So I'm thinking about doing that. Like, it's just anything. Like, if I really get into something, then then sometime, not all the time, because I'm into a lot of stuff. Like, I like crystals, but I'm not about to, well, you could, I mean, I could start a company where, because you can make, it's good and it's dope. Anything I get into, I try to see, like, sometimes, like, well, is this something I might want to be in the business with too? Like, is it something that could be smart, something that I'm passionate about? Like, I'm pretty passionate in like CBD oil a lot. So now I'm even looking into starting my own CBD company right now. So, and figuring out how do you do that? That's a whole new world. I don't fucking know. Like, you know what I mean? When I realized, because I go in to get some for me and for my mom, and I'm like, damn, this like local shop, and they're like, yeah, this is grown locally, and this is that. I'm like, okay, like, and I'm really passionate about it because it's super helps. It's like a miracle for real. You know what I mean? In a bottle, in certain aspects, of course. So then I was like, man, I wonder if it'd be cool. Actually, I was on Twitch one night and was talking about it, and I was already thinking, like, maybe I might want to start my own CBD company. And then everybody in Twitch, before I even said it, like, was like, bro, you should just start your own CBD company, bro. I'd buy that shit. And I was like, oh man, like, might be a sign. So I'm like, okay, let me look into it. I got no idea. How do you start a CBD company? What do you got to do? What's the process? This is a whole nother world. I have nothing. I make beats and do all this other stuff. I don't know. But then that's when you start learning. You know what I mean? Like, I just keep my eyes open, like, all the time. Whatever. And if something hits and it really feels good and you let it sit a little bit, you're like, okay. And you start doing the first step and you start learning. And if it keeps, I feel like I just know. And sometimes you do, it might come up where you're like, okay, this feels good, but it's risky. You know what I mean? Like, do I want to take this jump? Sometimes you'll come there, but it's like, and honestly, in my opinion, I always just jump. I just jump because it's like from where I came from, it's like to come this far. I mean, what's gonna happen? Just take the jump. You know what I mean? Like, what's gonna happen? If it fails, then whatever. You learned, and it's not the end of the world until it's the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, just take those jumps. But yeah, my eyes are always open. So some of the side things now, like I said, the CBD thing, hopefully is gonna. I know it's gonna be dope, and who knows what that could grow into? Who knows? That's another thing that's exciting. That's another thing which you went back into is like being in love with the process. I love the fact that I have no idea what that could grow into. I don't know. In 2-3 years, I could have a huge like plant where we gotta, you know what I mean? Who knows what that could
Yeah.
be? Or it could be something that's small, but it's saving lives, or I don't know. Like, who knows what that could do? You know what I mean? Just like with Twitch, when I started 4 months ago, I was like, yeah, this gonna be dope. I know I'm gonna have fun. I'm like in love with it. I'm like, man, this is so fun. But I'm like, I'm not really thinking like, I wonder what it could, but now I'm like, whoa, like this is something, you know what I mean, right here. Like, and it's all around just dope. And like, I didn't really think like this in the beginning. I just was like, let's try it out. And I know I'm gonna have fun. So it's like anything that I would recommend when you are trying to find something that could be your side hustle or could be your something, make it something you really want to do, something you're passionate about. Even if it's something like, okay, you like to cook, like it's 2020. Well, then maybe try to look into how do you start a meal prep company where you make these meals every week and you go deliver them every weekend and you get people signed up. Okay, maybe you love to teach. Maybe you even are a teacher. Well, okay, then you can do private lessons and in homes and start your own business and get. How do you do that and do that? Anything, whatever it is, something maybe you're passionate about. Like even right here, I can't really show, but there's a sign, like my team hit sign that's in my studio. Somebody made this for me, homemade, and sent it to me. They was on Instagram. They was like, bro, I made something to you. I want to send it to you. And I was like, all right, bet. And they sent it. And I was like, this shit is tight as hell. This wasn't a business for them or nothing. They just do this for fun. And I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you need to be selling these things. Like, these are dope and you love doing it. You love the craftsmanship of it. Make it a business. And now it's a business. All types of people are buying from them. So it's like, pay attention to some things you think might even just be your hobby. They could actually be your job. They could actually be a side hustle. They could actually be something you pursue as a career, but you might not even think of it that way. Like, there's literally people that right now, there's somebody that's making a pottery right now. Like, they're just going like this. They might be high as shit. They're having a blast, and they might be about to sell that thing for a couple $100, or more. Who knows? Like, they got their own pottery business. There's anything you could think of. So like these keyboards that we love, there's companies that make these things. You know what I mean? Like anything you can think of. Like, find something you're passionate about, something where you're like, that's a hobby of mine anyway, or maybe something you've always wanted to get into, and then just look into how do I make that a business? Like, is that possible? Like, look at others who've done that or other companies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look into it all. That's what I would say.
No, I love you just have a real, like, creative, I almost wanna say, like, playful approach to everything, whatever it is, your business, your Twitch, I
Yeah.
love that mindset. I think
Thank you.
that, if more people approach their music, their business, everything that way, I think they're gonna have more fun doing it and get more results. So I think that obviously, the mindset thing is so important. I'm wondering for you, do you have any practices that you do for your mindset, whether if that's certain routines or some kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, meditation or exercise, or how do you approach your mindset? Do you have any things that you
Yeah,
do?
for me, mindset, like that's one thing I talk about all the time on Instagram and everywhere. And you hear a lot of people talk about it, but not like everybody hears people talk about mindset and how much power of the mind means, and how much what you're thinking, everything means. And it's literally everybody hears that, but not most people really hear it. Not most people really listen to that. Like, they just say, oh, like, yeah, 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 I know, whatever. But it's not, it's literally like a secret power. But it's not a secret. It's really weird how this shit works. And I'm sure you know it, but like literally whatever you're doing with your mind and the mind state that you put yourself in controls everything. You literally can bring anything you want to you. You can achieve anything in the fucking world, but your mindset is one of the biggest keys. Like, you have to have that. So like for me, especially at first, I'll be honest, I was manifesting things, and I didn't realize like that I was doing it. I knew I was doing it, but I was just thinking it's just a hard work, it's just me. But then over time, I'm like, it started feeling kind of crazy. But people weren't talking as much about like mindset and manifestation as they have been, in the last 5 years or so. So I started thinking, I ain't gonna lie, I started thinking like maybe I got some type of like magic powers in this bitch. You know what I mean? So I'm like, shit, I want to get a Lambo. Like, can I get that? I'm like making all these, just throwing wishes out into the universe and seeing what happens. But then I start realizing like it is your mindset. Of course, it's also your work ethic, and you can't just sit around all day thinking and wishing and throwing shit into the universe. Like, yeah, like make me successful, and then just sit there and that's gonna come to you. That ain't gonna how it's gonna work. But you also can't not have that and only put in the work but not believe that what's about to happen is going to happen. Like you got to have both. You got to put in the work, and then you got to visualize it. You got to have that mindset. You got to be thinking and know where you want to go. That's the main thing. You got to know your next step. If you can't see this next step you're trying to get to, it's going to be a lot harder to get to it. You know what I mean? Like think of that next step. So for me, besides getting into that, one of the things that helped me stay in that mindset is like I kind of have my little routine. So like at night, a lot of the times I take a bath, I soak in this bath. I got candles lit. I got crystals around. That sounds like some kind of magic shit, but nothing like that. I'm just chilling. Maybe I got the laptop propped up and it's watching some anime, and I'm just floating, and I'm just like, it's like a reset. Cause especially in these businesses and all these things we do, it's a lot on your mind. So you have to like, just calm. Like, don't think of nothing. You know what I mean? Like, just reset, live in the right now, feel that water. Like, the warm water is something that really helps me just like relax. And then also, like I said, in those times, I might just be sitting there just chilling. And then those ideas just zoom into my head. It's like it does something sometime, or I might like be in the shower and I have like a little stool and I can just sit on it, get you a little plastic shower, and then you sit and I let the water just fall on me, and I just meditate. Like I just think of like, first off, I like to go blank. Don't think of nothing. Turn the anime or whatever I'm on off. Like let it be dark. Maybe turn like I got this little like light projector where those lights that put up like the space looking thing. Like it'll be all dark and that'll be on, and then I'll just go blank. And then after you go blank, I start thinking of like, what are my goals? Like what am I trying to get to next? And I visualize those things happening, and I visualize how it's going to happen and what it's going to feel like, and like everything, you know what I mean? From the smallest detail to the biggest, like, oh, how I'm going to get this. And then maybe I have to fly here to do this, and whatever it entails, you really picture it happening. And one thing that recently, so I have friends that I talk to and give advice to, and it's helped them tremendously in these type of talks. But one thing I didn't realize, I should have told them before, and now I've told them, and they're like, whoa, that this is changing the game for me, is that you might know like the ultimate goal where you want to be. Like, bro, say your goal, I want to have this crazy business worth all this, and I want to have all this and whatever, whatever, whatever. That's the end goal. But you also need to know the steps along the way. Like, you don't need to know all of them, but think step by step. Like, think of something that's first, not like obtainable, because everything's obtainable, but think of like, okay, in the next 6 months or 1 year, I want, this to happen or something. Like, I want to just, let me get this. Let me see a smaller result. Then that's going to make me be like, oh, okay. And from there, I'll figure that out later. But just go step by step. Don't only think, like, it's good to think about the main end goal. Keep that in mind at all times, but also think about the smaller steps along the way. Because the reason I say that is because some people's minds, like, they can't literally 100% believe that end goal is going to happen with their life how it is now. They'll be like, no, they might believe it a little bit, but then shit gets, shit is hard or something happens, and they're like, bro, this shit ain't happening. That's for me to picture me way over there where I'm right here. Like, come on, that's not going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? It'll make them sway. And if you sway and you're not truly believing, it probably isn't going to happen. Like, that's a big important key. You have to really believe it. So that's why a stepping stone, have the stepping stones, like keep that big dream up there, you know what I mean? But think about along the line, like some steps that could happen to show you results. Like say like, okay, I want to get a big ass placement as a producer. Keep that in mind. Keep that plaque in mind. Keep it up there. Like keep it there. You know what I mean? But also think of what are some things that could happen along the line that would show you like, hey, I'm on the right path. So think about getting an email back from somebody that you're sending samples to and them saying, bro, this is hard. I want to use this. Think of that email coming. Don't stop thinking of that fucking email. That email is fucking coming. You can make yourself believe that a lot more than, oh, I'm going to be riding in a Lambo and have this and have that. Like, that's going to come, whatever it is you're thinking of up there. But think of those steps along the line. And then when that step comes, you're going to be like, oh, okay, like that was dope. Like I made, all right. Then think of the next thing like, okay, well, one day somebody's going to say, hey, what's your number? You know what I mean? To somebody out of the blue or whatever. Just think of anything. And somewhere along the line, since you're really believing those things, because those are things that are easier for you to believe or whatever, something like that will happen. And that'll show you like, oh, so always keep your eyes open too along the path and know when you're being shown something that's trying to let you know, like, hey, you're in the right direction. You know what I mean? Like, hey, here's this. It might not be here's a plaque, here's a placement right off the rip, but there's something showing you, like, hey, here you go. Like, you're doing right. Keep going. You know what I mean? Keep your eyes open for those signs. Because some people, they'll only, like I said, they'll only think of that major big goal and that's it. And it's kind of, they don't really believe it's going to happen. And then stuff happens and they kind of fall off. And maybe they get signs, but their eyes really aren't open. And so then they just quit or something. You know what I mean? Or they just whatever. So that would be some big advice that I would say too. That's what
Gem.
I tell my friends.
No, that's huge. Yeah, I think another way of basically saying the same thing is it's really all about momentum. And so sometimes if you're just thinking about that thing that might not happen for a while, that's that big whatever that is, the plaque, the 7 figures, whatever that is, if
Right.
you're always looking at that, then it feels like you're not moving. Because well,
Yeah.
I'm here and I'm looking at that. Like you could actually be moving, but you're still not here. But
Exactly.
if you look at just like what you're saying, it's like, okay, well, what are those steps along the way? Now it feels like you're in momentum. Now it's like, okay, cool. I did the next step. I did the next step. I did the next step.
Right.
Now you're
Yep.
moving, and then it builds on each other, and momentum goes the other direction too. If it feels like you're being stagnant, it's hard to break out of that. It's just like you're on a roll where you're making beats, and every beat you make is fire, and it's like easy.
Yep.
And then, but it's so easy to get on a roll the other way, right? Where it's just like
Exactly.
you just don't have the
Yep.
inspiration. I think it's the exact same thing with your goals, whether if that's business or whatever. Having that momentum, those, and if you don't celebrate those little wins along the way, then you
Exactly.
might not even realize that you had some momentum, and then you get frustrated.
Might not even realize it's a win. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh, wow, somebody emailed me back. That's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, bro, what do you mean?
Right.
That's letting you know right there. You're on the right. Like, I have to tell my friends that all the time. Like, it'll be something. They'll be like, yo, like, what's the update on your business or what's this? And they'll be like, well, whatever, this happened, but whatever. And I'm like, bro, what do you mean? That's a huge thing. Like, that's letting you know right there. And then it turns them around. We're like, hold on now. Like, I think maybe you're right. That is kind of telling me. And then you talk to them a little bit later and they're like, now they went up a little bit. But if you don't recognize those and more so appreciate those things that happen, then you're definitely already behind. You're already behind. You can't only get happy and appreciate the end thing that happens. Appreciate, like we said, appreciate the journey and the small little stepping stones that you hop over. Even it's like, hey, yesterday I had 100 followers, whatever. If you're trying to grow your social media and stuff, and I had 100 people on, or I had 10 people on my mailing list, but now I've got 20 and I got 120. Well, you're up 20. You know what I mean? Like whatever. You know, yeah, exactly. You got something, you know what I mean? Progress is progress, like don't it's easy to get down, especially in this day and age, especially with everything going on. It is easy to get depressed or get down or let some shit mess with your head. But you got to know how to just be like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's all right. Let me keep going. Appreciate everything along the line. Recognize those little stepping stones and keep skipping.
Yeah, and it helps too, just one more thing on that point too, is when you're around other people who understand what you're doing, who have the same goal as you, it makes it a lot easier because you can celebrate those wins, you can talk about those losses. That's why I feel like having a community like the chat in your Twitch stream or like what we what
Yep.
we're growing at Midi Money where it's other people who understand, like, they'll celebrate those little wins, like,
Right.
whatever that little win might be. Maybe it's like, "Hey, I just
Exactly.
got one," I just got my first person on my email list. Like, you tell that somebody and they'll be like, "Oh, that's great, like, who cares?" But, like, you
Right.
tell me that, I'll be like, "Damn, okay, that means you set up some kind of process, you have some kinda," you integrated whatever with your mailing service and it works and, like, you set all that up. That takes so much time and energy and effort and going through, like, making the tech work and the idea and, like, so when you're around people like that, when you're in that community, now all of a sudden you can talk about those little wins and people will be like, "Yeah, congrats, man, that I know
Yep.
the effort that took," or you can be like, "Man, I'm just so frustrated," or whatever it is, and people be like, "Yeah, I get it, I've been there too." So I love that
Right.
you're growing that community because that's what allows us to realize, like, we're not crazy because it's like sitting in your own thoughts all day, maybe, working on business, whatever, and then, sometimes you don't know. You don't know what those benchmarks are. You don't know
True.
what's normal. Like, is it normal to feel this way until you start talking to other, producers or whatever, and then it's like, "Oh, yeah, like, I'm not crazy. This is normal," and it's inspirational to see other people who are, ahead, and
Yeah.
also to help the people who are getting, to where you are too. I feel like that community is big. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah.
noticed
Thank you.
that, as well with what you've done, but
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's definitely it. You're definitely right.
Yeah, man. Man, well, I feel like I could talk to you all day, but,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna wrap it up here. Basically just if you could just let us know, best place to find you, all the channels, all the social media, and anything you wanna end it on, and we'll wrap it
Okay.
up.
I mean, well, of course, Instagram is at SuperStar. That's where I'm on the most. And then Twitch for real, twitch.tv/SuperStar. If you're a producer, come on over there. You're gonna have a great fucking time.
Damn.
That's really the main things that I'm really focused on. I would say Instagram and Twitch. And of course, industrykits.com if you need any sounds or VST instruments, so on and so forth. But yeah, I'd love to have you on the Twitch. We're live all the time and we're lit.
Yeah, I'll be there too. We'll all
Oh
go hang
yeah.
out. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
man,
We
really
gotta do
appreciate.
we gotta do something together over there. That'd be tight.
Yeah,
Or some
definitely.
type of something. Yeah.
Bro, let's do it. We'll talk right after this. I'd be
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
to. That'd be fun. We
Okay.
could, combine the communities,
Yeah.
maybe in the Superstar Twitch
Yep.
chat, I think that'd be a lot of
Yep.
fun.
Yeah.
Cool,
Hell
man.
yeah.
All right, bro, I really appreciate you taking the time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, man.